What is
What is
up,
going on,
man?
everybody? Welcome to another episode of Ball with the Lays. All things WNBA news, scores, you name it, we got it. But before we get into it, if you guys new, make sure to hit that like button, also hit that subscribe button, make sure to ring that notification bell, so you guys will not miss any of the new content to the channel. That being said, let's just kind of hop right into the meat and potatoes of today's episode. Obviously, first topic on hand was the Aces losing the season series to the New York Liberty. I wanted to get touch upon that really quick. And to be fair, I kind of felt it was a little bit embarrassing in a certain sense. I mean, I even said, even before the season started, I think we're split with the New York Liberty. And unfortunately, I am completely wrong on that front.
Yeah. Uh, very, very disappointing. Obviously, this whole thing. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to pull up my notes because I have stats and scores here. Um, but yeah, it's very, very disappointing how this went. Um, you know, I expected more of a fight from this, and they did fight a little bit. In that third final game of that matchup. But the last few, it's been blowout losses, and it's just been like something's got to give here. I know we lost Candace Parker. I know we lost her. So that took a bit of a hit there. But when you have people that aren't doing their jobs, that aren't closing out with the three ball, because Brianna Stewart can shoot, and Ionescu can shoot too. And you have those two shooting all over us, all over the game. Come on, it's demoralizing because you're not playing sound defense from the three ball. You're not.
No, you really. And it's not just that, and the fact that we had a hard time closing out on the perimeter because it's like,
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying, man. They don't close out on the three ball. They don't do that.
And even when I've seen, like, that was the always biggest thing I will nitpick with the Aces. Like, perimeter defense is no longer there. At times, sometimes there are some games they let the frustration get the better of them, and well, let's just say some of the games they played, it just turns out flat out ugly. And
yeah, it comes out to be ugly, and you get these blowout losses, and it's to a team that don't deserve, or they deserve, to win, obviously, because they're the Liberty. Liberty are a stacked team, but also the Aces. They should not be losing by double digits every single game to the Liberty. I don't mind them losing a couple games here and there to the Liberty because the Liberty are just as strong as we are. But come on, something's got to give.
I mean, if you currently look at the standings right now, it is technically with the Aces currently actually did pick up a victory over the Washington Mystics. Even though, let's be real, that right now it stands between 2 to 3 games. New York is breathing down our necks, so to speak.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Is that now the lead has diminished
Because
you had basically insurmountable lead earlier in the season, and now it's down to 2. It's down to the 2 final.
Down two games.
The Liberty are right there. The Liberty are there. And we're fighting. We're fighting for our lives here. And luckily they won a game.
We got 3 games to go.
We got 3 games to go, and luckily we won one of those 3 this week. So
yeah, it's like really looking at how you would think this team, obviously you're the defending champs for a reason. Most of everybody wants to take a shot at you. Well, unless you're not Seattle or one of these other teams that are, I would say, are basement dwellers. But you have a certain expectation coming, especially coming into this year. Yeah, you're coming off a championship of last year for the first time for the first time that Vegas has a professional championship, no matter how you look at it. And yes, you're 31-6 through 37 games. To be quite honest, I mean, this team could at least 4 to 5 losses max. In my
Oh,
eye.
definitely, they could have had 4 to 5 losses max for sure.
Because
Four.
I even said on record that the ceiling I could see this team going, this Aces team going, is 35-5. Lowest is 34-6. That's the floor for me. And it looks like we're getting we potentially could get the floor, or probably even obviously, or 33-7, depending on because right now the other two matches we have to go through is the Phoenix Mercury, and those are the last two remaining games for the Aces. Is the Phoenix Mercury?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Speaking of the Mercury, yeah, their playoff streak is since being officially eliminated from playoff contention. Their playoff streak has snapped. So this is the first year in the WNBA that does not, especially in terms of the potential playoff implications, that does not include the Phoenix Mercury. And for those who have not been around the show for a while, we did kind of mostly touch on because right now the Phoenix Mercury, no matter how you look at it, was obviously not the biggest talking thing. Were the most talked about teams in the WNBA, and not for a good valid reason. Because I mean, holy moly, I have never seen a team takes a whole 180. Yes, I mean you have DT already. At some point, I'm not going to say to ask her to retire, but at some point she's got to start put that into consideration because she's 41. BG's on the wrong side of 30, and the rest of the supporting cast was really not doing much to really help this team at all. I mean, I do like Sophie Cunningham. I think she's got some value. And to be quite honest, I think someone brought it to our attention. It's like, they have to go through a clean house, basically, like start from scratch. And the way I look at it, it's like, you know what? It's the best way to do it because Phoenix basketball, the Mercury basketball, it's just been terrible. I'm sorry. Like, no matter how you look at it, it's just god awful. I mean, right now they're 9-27. They're the only team the WNBA does not have double-digit wins, and the remaining two games are against us, the Las Vegas Aces.
Yep, exactly. They are the one of the worst teams in the league right now, and it's just sad, very very sad. But yeah, their playoff streak ends, and now they got to look for the future and rebuild. They have to rebuild at this point.
I mean, we both can agree. I mean, you just clean house at that point because I really don't think this interim coach is not really. Yeah, the coaching staff is not the greatest. Like we said, you have some players on the wrong side of either 30 and sometimes 40. Even though Diana Taurasi, at the end of the day, is going to be a Hall of Famer nonetheless. But at some point, she has to realize, how much longer can you go? You're 41. You already had a bit of an injury history. You dealt with with a hamstring injury, midway through or earlier in the season. Then you dealt with what I think it was an ankle injury or something. What it was like, she's like her body hasn't already been what it once was. She's no spring chicken, for a lack of a better term.
Yeah, she's no spring chicken.
And it's like, and I love DT. Don't get me wrong. Like it because I think she needs to realize, and then kind of what Sue Bird kind of realized too before she retires. I said, look, my body can't really be what it once was, and I think Sue Bird also came out and said, I think last year was her final season. And yes, I know it's not the best way she wanted to go out after, the Aces took care of business against the Seattle Storm, which we'll get to in just a moment because I want to rehash on them a little bit because Howard, I know you got some interesting things that I've seen that I wanted to have a discussion with the Seattle Storm, especially after their matchup with the Sparks. And
yeah, I got some stats here, but I'll read like all the stats, but we're gonna get through the news first. Obviously,
in turn, like we said, I mean, it stinks because I liked Diana Taurasi in my short time as a WNBA fan. I mean, look, she's built, over 10,000 career points. I mean, she's done this, she's done that. Like, she's built up an entire Hall of Fame type of resume.
Yeah.
And I'll give her credit, try to push through, but it's like, you're not a spring chicken anymore. Like, you're not as look, you're more susceptible to injury. I mean, like we have seen, even players younger than her, let's be on the wrong side of 30, which we have seen, which is kind of crazy to see. We've seen most players in this league or some, I would say, are on the wrong side of 30, which is, I guess you could say, it's a bit concerning. I mean, players like BG, Elena Deladon, I really hate to say that because I also like
Now I'm gonna get to her too because I do have Mystic scores here. She did actually have a good game. She did actually have a good game. So she's not really as concerning as we thought. It was not as concerning as we thought it would be last week or the last
yeah,
2 weeks.
the last couple of weeks,
It's
it's
not
like, oh,
like that's what we thought the last 2 weeks. It's like what's happening, but she's gotten back to her double digit point self as she was before she got hurt. I will say that.
and see, that's where I want to say not nitpick, but that's where my concern is at times with the Washington Mystics. It's like when we first started this show, even before the season started, it's like I actually expected a bit of an improvement season from last year. Even though they weren't bad, it was like, you know what? I think they could be better if they can stay healthy. Like I said, that's the key word I've used when we started the show was if. Can the Washington Mystics stay healthy because let's be real, that's a team that is just got very unlucky with the injury bug, with Natasha Cloud having a hard time making her comeback. Elena Deladon dealing with some injuries and all that. It really makes and some of these teams, it kind of makes you wonder. It's like, what can they do in the all season? And I know there's some teams are already kind of looking towards the all season. Teams like Seattle, who, boy, I have never seen a team take a whole 180 and completely flop the way that the Seattle Storm did. And
But here's the thing, though. It was expected because you lost Brianna Stewart, you lost Sue Bird, you lost one of your other stars to pregnancy, and now all you have is Jewel Lloyd.
And it's the same thing with the Phoenix Mercury. If he still has Skylar Diggins Smith, who is one of the better scorers, even though she's out on maternity leave, and that's really kind of hurt this franchise. And I even said it. I'll say this too. I think Skylar Diggins Smith needs to get away from Phoenix and go elsewhere. Because I think she's way too talented to be and waste the rest of her career on a rebuilding team that is the Phoenix Mercury. And
Yeah.
it's like you have let's be real, that most of that roster is, how do I say this?
Poor.
I mean, look, there's many words you could probably describe the Phoenix Mercury. Hot garbage.
But we're gonna keep it PG though, because there's a lot other choice words I would say too. So.
But you could probably say hot garbage. There are dumpster fire. I mean, well,
The 4-letter S word. I'm not gonna say
because it's like, I mean, Shea Petty. I mean, I think like we said, I think the Phoenix Mercury needs to clean house. Because if they you're setting yourself back for, I would say, the next couple of years, I would say. And and it sucks to say because I know Mercury. I mean, look, the Mercury fans deserve a lot better what this team is putting on the floor each and every night. No matter if it's on the road or at home. I mean, if you looked at, that's when you look at the standings currently. I mean, right now, like I said, the only two teams have been officially eliminated, and for good reason because they stink. Is the Seattle Storm and the Phoenix Mercury, who right now are 2-8 the last 10 games. On a 7-game losing streak, which it really makes you. It does make you wonder. So because we thought Vanessa, a coaching change could at least help this team a little bit, and it isn't looking like that at all.
it doesn't look
I think
that
that entire
way.
coaching staff has to get cleaned out. Definitely, most of that roster, as sucks to say, but we can't really see much of it. speaking of that too, we are coming down to the final few games. We are looking at the playoff picture as it stands. As it stands right now, we don't. Some other teams have not clinched a playoff spot. So, like I said, like we touched on before, we have 3 teams already clinched the playoff spot. That's Las Vegas, New York, and Connecticut, which is that. But from spots 4 through 8, nothing. It could change on the flip of a dime because this is a cruise.
Yeah, if you looked at how the season is going, it's very flip-floppy from 4 to 8. Very flip-floppy.
One thing has been somewhat consistent. There's consistency.
Yeah.
Like Dallas has been. I don't say Dallas is not inconsistent, but it's just I can't think of another word for it. I wouldn't say there's no inconsistencies, but I think just at times they just couldn't put. Then again, I mean, one can make an argument they can be sometimes inconsistent at times, where you have.
I would, if you don't want to say inconsistent, just say they are very streaky. They are very streaky. They're a very streaky team.
I'm looking for. So, streaky was the word I was looking for.
There you go. I helped you out there, man.
Because the Dallas Wings, like, they got some good talent at times to win games, but a lot of times we've seen them not play their best balls. So it's like, what the heck is this? It makes you question yourself, like what you're seeing as the product for the Dallas Wings. It's like, because right now I think the Dallas Wings on paper should be at least a 20 to 25 win type of team. That's what, just being brutally honest. Well, you got Enrique Ogubawali, who, let's be real, is a fantastic scorer. Got a nice, not just that, you got a very nice supporting cast behind her. It's like, you can't tell me this team can't crack 25 wins. It makes it like, it's a head scratcher and you got Atlanta, who, well, I don't know. How do you even describe them? They're not even obviously inconsistent because, I mean, Haley Jones, I don't know. She's kind of pretty much.
Haley Jones has gotten,
been MIA.
Dude, this whole season she's been MIA. I think the last time I checked the points per game, she had like 3 points per game.
Yeah,
not even playing. Not even playing. Haley Jones had 3 points per game when I checked last time.
I mean, currently they're sending 2 games under 500, and they're 3-7 the last 10 games. Yeah. And the Atlanta Dream, look, I like what they have over there with Ryan Howard, who, obviously rookie of the year last year, and obviously for good reason that she was still going to be lights out from 3. But that's where at times, sometimes where I feel the Atlanta Dream, where some of these teams like Atlanta, they rely on the 3 ball way too much. I don't know, Tyra, I don't really have you notice how the Atlanta Dream, they consistently rely on the 3 ball.
Dude, they are just jacking them up. It's like left and right, they're jacking up threes.
It's like it makes you wonder. It's like you're not going to win games that way. You're going to have to find something else.
You're definitely not going to win games doing that, jacking up threes left and right like that. Like I get. Oh shoot! I'm gonna drop my phone. I don't like. Yeah, you're not going to win doing that. You're not going to win just jacking up threes because half that time, of course, most of those threes aren't going to be open. They're not going to be good shots. You got to make better shot selection. Got to make better shot selection now. If you don't, you're going to get beat 9 times out of 10.
And boy, how
that's just basketball 101. Even I know that. Good shot selection means wins.
And that's the thing too. Like I said, going back to the shot selection, they don't even take. I mean, there will be rare occasions they'll take like very few mid-range jump shots from inside the 3-point lines. Like, and that's the thing too. That's kind of separates one team. And look at Las Vegas. Like, going back to the Aces a little bit, the difference with them is they're more focused on like the mid-range and also destroying the paint, so to speak. I mean,
that's what they've been doing, this season, and that's how they amassed however many wins they got now, which is, they're on pace to be a good 34 win team. You know, they're on pace to be one of the top teams, and it's because they know how to share the rock, get inside when they have to get inside, shoot threes when they're open, and play sound defense at times. Yeah, 9 times out of the games against the Liberty are less to be desired. I will say the Aces are that those games are less to be desired because they could not close out on the 3 ball. That was my biggest gripe of that whole season series. They could not close out on the 3 ball. But I digress. Any more news, man?
But really looking at the rest of the playoff picture, because like I said, like we said, this is a crucial stretch for a lot of teams that can, because right now, the top three has already been secured, but 4 through 8, because right now, if it stands the way that it is, it's Dallas, Atlanta, Minnesota, Washington. But it's that 8 spot though that people need to take a look up because the Sparks, they're right now looking outside, looking in above, underneath the Chicago sky. Both have the same records.
Yep, exactly. They've bottomed out completely.
Yeah, I mean
they bottomed out because they early on in the season you saw the cracks. You saw the cracks. Everybody saw the cracks, but they were just inconsistent. They were like, should we win? Should we not win? But they saw the writing on the wall, and they're like, we're just gonna tank the rest of the season. And it seems that way. They just tank the rest of the season. And also, the issues with them is the fact that in all those losses, they could have been wins.
Yeah, they have a hard time closing out games, and that's
the thing just too. Don't close out
because even our fellow WNBA fans and huge Sparks fan, even Key told us straight through, like they're a broken team, figuratively speaking.
They definitely are a broken team, for sure.
Because think about it, you already have Katie Lou Samuelson who's out on maternity leave. They're going to be nice where you either have Neko Gumake have been on her game and the rest of the podcast not want to show up, figuratively speaking. And a lot of times, right now, currently, they're sitting 15-21 through 36 games. God, I can't add. Because right now, I mean, the only thing that's a positive, but at least they're 6-4 in the last game. That's the only slight positive I can give them. But it's like we said, we have choice words for some of these teams. Well, we can't.
We got to keep it PG, man. We got to keep PG. But
but going minus with the playoff picture, like I said, that's the only thing that people have or should be taking a look at is the number 8 spot. Is it going to be the Sky or is it going to be the Sparks? Like it's a battle of the last. It's the 8th spot.
But really, they need to look at not just the 8th spot, but the 4 through 8 spot because it's been very flip flop, very flip floppy.
Because it can change like that on a flip of a dime.
Yeah, this team jumps up, this team goes down, this team jumps up, and it's back and forth, and it's all very flip floppy. So really, you shouldn't only look at the 8th spot. You should be looking at 4 through 8 because that's where the race really, is actually a legitimate race.
Yeah, because like we said,
1, 2, and 3, that's just set. 1, 2, 3 is set.
That's already set.
But 4 through 8, we'll look out for that because anything can change in a snap.
Because like we said, we're down to the last 3 to 4 games of the year, and if one team can win out, like like you said, it happens a lot. Especially in terms of the WNBA. Yeah, you played a 40-game season, but for a lot of teams like Minnesota, who I could put in the same category is streaky. For a team I could see at least 20 to 22 wins at best. It's just like they got the talent, but for some reason they have a hard time executing and becoming the team that we could potentially what we know they could be. And we saw they even look at last year too. A team that is like team with like really good supporting pieces. Some stars like Kelsey McBride, Nafisa Collier, who can also give you a double here and there, and yet you still came and cracked 20 wins. Like that's either one can. it's like either I don't think coaching could be the right issue, or I don't know if the support, if you need an extra body or two.
I feel like my problem is it has to be the culture. It has to be the culture of what the coach is bringing out, because sometimes coaching doesn't always equate to wins if the culture is bad.
That's true.
You could be a good coach. You could be a good coach, but if the culture is bad, you're not going to win. So to me, I feel like it's a culture issue.
Yeah, like there's no culture. What I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I think that's a lot of times a lot of teams are missing that. You need
more often than not, though, Rob, it is a bad thing, because if you have a bad culture, you're not going to win.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, put it this way, let's go to baseball for an analogy. Look at the White Sox. That culture is atrocious. Look at their record.
None whatsoever.
Exactly. So now back to the WNBA. This team, I feel like there's a culture issue.
Yeah,
I'm not saying there's a power struggle. I'm not saying there's all this other stuff. I'm saying the culture's not there.
They need to build one. It's non-existent.
Yeah. And I feel like that's the only issue. They got the team. They just need a better culture.
They got everything you could probably ask for. Because like I said, on paper, they could be at least a 25 to 27 type of win type of team. But like I said, it comes down to culture, whether you look at it. But moving on, this is interesting that I actually kind of read about, that the WNBA put out the schedule for the end of season awards, and also the introduction of how they're going to be selecting the all defensive team. Now, in terms of the end of season awards, which I think a lot of people or a lot of fans like me and Tyler, it's going to be very interesting of like who gets who. I mean, you got the Monday on September 11th, you got the WNBA peak performers. Thursday, the 14th, basketball executive of the year, coach of the year on Sunday. It's going to be very interesting to see, the candidates for all these awards. Because right now we've seen, and there's a lot of debates within the WNBA fan base. Like, let's say, who's going to be your MVP? Who's going to be your coach of the year, executive of the year, that sort of thing. Because it's like, it's an interesting topic of a conversation. It's like, yes, I know. Let's just say, I think it's a perfect opportunity to not say perfect opportunity, but an interesting kind of topic to see, like who's going to be who. Because right now we've seen a couple of, because we know the top 5 MVP candidates with Asia Wilson, Alyssa Thomas, which
we all know the MVP race. All 5 could win it.
Yeah,
any of the 5
legitimate argument to be made, because this is the best I've seen in terms of the MVP race. As close as it is, it's like, ugh. That's like, man, I like Alyssa
any
Thomas.
Of the 5 could win this, and it's astounding that is the case. But coach of the year, I have no clue who could win that. I feel like it's going to be.
I think Becky's going to repeat.
It's going to be Becky. I think it's going to be Becky. Becky Hammond. I think it's definitely her.
Look, with bias aside, I mean, because I mean, I did want to say Liberty, but Liberty, they got a bit off to a slow start on the year, so that kind of really, I would say, delayed. Not say delayed, but kind of pushed back the chances a little bit.
That post start didn't even last that long. They were like 1-1, and then they just blew up right after that. So their coach could make a good case too. So,
but yeah, like we did touch upon the MVP last week's episode or last episode, but really, if we look at the 5, you have Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Alyssa Thomas, Satu Sabali from the Dallas Wings, and Nafisa Collier, who is making an interesting argument for herself.
Yeah,
21-7, 21-8, 21-8-2-2 a game. I mean, right now, Asia Wilson, right now. I know they kind of should have updated this. And I know currently averaging over 26 a game. Like, whoever thought of, well, and again, that's beside the point. But
it's kind of expected for Asia Wilson to get 26 points a game at this point.
Yeah, and it's like, the MVP. I mean, like I said, me and Ty don't want to be as biased as we are, but because it's a very tight knit race. It's like, Oh, I mean, you put this.
There's so much. There's if any of the 5 win, I won't be angry. If any of the 5 win, I'm happy for them because
they all have a good.
They all have a solid case of winning it.
I mean, Asia Wilson, she's still making the arguments that look, I'm the best player in this league. But then again, you also have Brianna Stewart.
Brianna Stewart's making a case. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Alyssa Thomas, she's not average. She's not the type of person to average 20 a game because she's in a way. The way I look at Alyssa Thomas, that she can get you 20 a night, but in terms of her season average, like she'll give you she's averaging at least almost 16 a game, and the fact that she doesn't really rely on scoring because what Alyssa Thomas is, what she does best is sharing the rock. Why do you think this is why I've always will have respect for the Connecticut Sun because they know how to share the rock. See, that's where, and like Tyler Point alluded to earlier, like some of these teams don't know how to share the rock. Like the assist numbers are not the greatest with some of these teams. Las Vegas, they've done a good job with sharing the rock. Connecticut, New York, and you could throw Dallas in there too. But it's just like, it's like I don't know. It's kind of hard to really to describe it in a way.
Yeah.
But, that's pretty much what I have in terms of the news. Because right now there's hardly ever news except for the Phoenix Mercury. This is the first time the Mercury are no longer in the postseason, which is
and that's the first thing we talked about. So
it really is. It makes you want. Yeah, it's. Then again, so you know what? I had a feeling that we all knew that at some point this was coming because, well, let's be real. Even if they got BG back, you knew she was going to be on the wrong side of 30 because she had a bit, even before she, with all the crap.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway.
Moving on,
because I don't want to delve back into the Mercury and stuff like that. Speaking of the Mercury, I do have stats and scores for you guys. That's our next segment. Stats and scores from the WNBA. There was only 3 games from when I checked. There was only 3 games today. So, and this is only going to be today's games. The Sun won over the Mercury 84-74. Now, I'm not going to even try to even pronounce her last name, so I'm going to just call her Michaela O. I'm not going to pronounce her last name. She got 11 points and 2 rebounds. Brianna Turner got 4.6 rebounds. That's why I put her on the stats. I don't usually put people, or I didn't after this put people who didn't have more than 10 points on here. Because you got to score points to win. But she did get 6 rebounds, so she did help. A little bit, keep the team close in a sense with the 6 boards. Brittany Griner, 15 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. And Alicia Sutton, 13 points, 6 assists, and 6 rebounds. Now, here are the Suns' stats. DeWanna Bonner, 15 points, 4 rebounds. Alyssa Thomas, 12 points, 8 assists, and 13 rebounds. Yes, Alyssa Thomas with a double-double almost averaged a triple-double in this game. Mm-hmm. Almost did it. Natasha Heidemann, 18 points, 3 assists, and 3 rebounds. Tiffany Hayes, 13 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds. And Tayasha, I don't know if I'm butchering the name, Harris, 18 points, 2 assists. So you have somebody like an Alyssa Thomas almost averaging a triple-double in this game. You can see why she's in the MVP running. You can see it. Absolutely. With that stat right there. With that stat right there, you can see why she's in MVP running for sure. Now let's go on to the Aces versus the Mystics. The Aces won over the Mystics 84-75. Now, here are the Mystics stats, y'all. Brittany Sykes, 16 points, 5 assists, and 7 rebounds. EDD, 17 points, 2 assists, 3 rebounds. She had an improved game from that one game we covered 2 weeks ago when she only had 6 points. She did improve there. Natasha Cloud, she's doing her thing still. 12 points, 5 assists, 1 rebound. So Natasha Cloud is just still doing her thing. She's still balling out of her mind. The Aces, Asia Wilson, 26 points, 2 assists, 11 rebounds. Asia Wilson, double-double alert. Kelsey Plum, 12 points, 10 assists, 3 rebounds. So 2 Aces players. Count them. 2. Double-double. 2 of them. Chelsea Gray, 21 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds. And Alicia Clark, 11 points, 1 assist, and 7 boards. They are doing their job. And I'm going to say it right there. They are doing their job.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is why the Aces are, atop of their game. One of the best teams in the league. Now the Storm beat the Sparks.
Yeah.
And let me tell you how it happened, because let me tell you this. Only 2 players for the Storm showed up. And this is the only two stats I even wrote, because the other stats didn't even matter to me because they didn't even show up.
Like, it was bad, for lack of a better term.
Jewel Lloyd, 25 points, 7 assists, 7 rebounds, and Sammy Whitcomb, 14 points, 7 assists, and 7 rebounds. So you're telling, and everybody else scored single digits in points. I think one was good off the bench, and I think it was 9 points, but that was it. The rest of them had like 2 points and whatever. Like, I'm not writing that down. It was bad.
I think also too, when you look at Julian's stat line, it is disgustingly bad. What was 6 from 20 from 3 or something like that, or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was 6 for 20 from 3. But the Spark stats: Agumake, 11 points, 3 rebound or 3 assists and 7 rebounds. So she was close to a double-double. Samuelson, 10 points, 3 assists and 6 rebounds. She was close to a double-double. Burrell, 10 points, 1 rebound. Those are your high scores, Sparks. You couldn't get over 11 points?
Oh, that's just terrible.
Why do you... This is exactly why the Sparks have bottomed out, because you have players that aren't scoring enough. They're not scoring enough. They're getting the rebounds. I will say that they're getting the rebounds. They're sharing the rock a little bit, but you got to give more than 10 points and 11 points to win games.
Oh God! Because look, I don't want to laugh at Sparks fans, but I know they have it worse. Well, then again, if you're not. But boy,
we know one, and she says that team drives her drink, and I see why.
It's like you both do good. You have both pairs of sisters. I don't know where the heck was Cheney all this time. Like, she's been kind of MIA away from the, figuratively speaking.
Hold on, I'm going to tell you that because I didn't write her stat down, but I will look up. I will look up what her stat line was, and I will tell you it's probably as bad as I thought. All right, I don't want to. And right now, the Fever are playing the Wings, and the Fever are winning 14-8 right now. But wait, who is the name that you were looking for?
Chine Ogumake.
Ogumake. Chine.
Because
dude, is she even on? She's not even on the stat line.
Oh boy.
She ain't even on there. Is she on the same team?
She's with the Sparks, yes.
Not even in the stat line. She didn't even play. She got the DMP, bro.
Oh.
She got the DMP.
See? That's where the problem is.
But here's the stat line for the rest of them. You ready?
Oh God.
8 points. 8 points. 8 points. 6 points. Who had what?
Who had 8 points? Like, who was that bad off the bench?
Canada and Cook. The 2 players that got 8 points.
Canada, you have one job is to help. Besides,
and had 1 assist. 1 assist and no rebounds.
You have one job.
Terrible
You need fantasy points. Well, that's besides the point.
She's old. Actually, no. She got. I was in the wrong stat line. I read it. Cooks 8 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. That's it. That is it. Hamby only got 6 points, but she made up for it with the 5 boards though. She made up for it a little bit.
She's more of a rebounding machine than anything else.
Yeah, she was more of a rebounder, so I understand why she didn't score that much. I didn't write her stuff down because I wanted like the highest point.
The thing is, too tired. Like even with her time with the Asians, she was mostly a rebounding machine. Like she'll get you.
She wasn't scoring. Yeah, she wasn't scoring that much.
And it's like, oh boy.
But the rest of the team did nothing, and then you have only 2 players beat a team by themselves.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was trash. And Key, if you're watching this, if you're watching this, I'm sorry.
I don't like even she was surprised. It's like, how does Julian have a bad stat line yet, and somehow you still lose?
I don't know. How do you lose to 2 players?
I really don't know. Like I don't know how.
Dude, it's a team sport. And you lost to 2 players.
2 people.
2.
Because when you look at it, it's like it makes you wonder. It's like, man, you are at the low. Well, actually,
you're at the lowest of lows if you can't even beat 2 players.
Yeah, that's that's not really saying much. And
it was basically 2-on-5, and the people who had only 2 won. Like what?
It really is though, and really looking at the Sparks though, I don't think they need like a complete overhaul, but some changes need to be made. Kurt Miller, look, I'm going to give Kurt Miller the benefit of the doubt. You know, he's got look. I can't really blame him for all the talent he has to work with. And some are not the greatest by any stretch of the imagination. It's like, I don't know what it is with the Sparks that I could see, what changes to me. Probably the front office, maybe. Probably cut ties with players that
definitely. I would say the front office for sure. Because front office did not help Ogumake at all.
Especially the Ogumake sisters at all. Because if one of them can't get going, that team
struggles. One of them got DMP in this game.
Yeah,
did not play. And I'm like, where is she at? Is she on this team? Like, I forgot she was on that team because she DMP.
That's where the problem lies. It's like you don't exactly like you may see them play, but like say the next few games, it's like, where are they? Figuratively speaking,
where's the Ogumake sisters? You got one Ogumake sister on the court, and another one's on the bench.
Like Aneka Ogumake is doing most of the heavy lifting with the Sparks team. It's like, get her some dang help for crying out loud. She needs help.
Exactly.
Like, now, yes, there'll be occasions, I mean, look at us, for example, like one game, Asia Wilson had to carry this team on her back, regardless, when nobody even else showed up to wanted to play, figuratively speaking.
And guess what happened? We lost.
And in
that game in question, when Asia Wilson had to carry, we lost.
I think she would drop and boy, Asia Wilson. I mean, look, she's doing what she does best is kicking butt and taking names. Because I mean, look, she's dropped 40 once before. She had a career high in 53 in one game.
She did. And now she put up 26 and averaged. She averaged a double-double, but she could have got a triple-double in this game. She could have.
But yeah,
same thing with Kelsey Plum. Same thing with Kelsey Plum. She could have gotten a
Kelsey Plum. Yeah, I mean, look, in terms of the scoring, yes, I wish I would have seen more from her because I think Kelsey Plum is your typical 20 to 25 a night. Easy.
For me, she's too busy just knocking people over trying to steal the ball. That's her thing.
She is, and that's what also we liked about Kelsey Plum too. Like she is very pesky on the defensive end of the basketball.
She's knocking people over, trying to get the ball. She gets the ball. She's a pickpocketer. She's not a scorer.
And look, she will lay out on the floor, like say, she's the kind of person that would
She did
go
that.
100.
I remember one of the games I watched. She basically freaking tackled two women to get a ball. I'm like, gee.
It's crazy to say. Well, I'm not say crazy, but Kelsey Plum, like she gives her 110%, like, and that's what people have to most people liked about the Aces because they give their 110%. Yes, at times, yeah, a lot of times some of them doesn't show up, and it's a bad look. Trust me, we see we had games like that, but yet in terms of the Sparks, Nika Gubike needs some freaking help. I'm sorry, no way you look at it, I like Zaya Cook, but it's like, where the heck was the Zaya Cook we seen at South Carolina with dropping 25 to 30? It's like, geez,
yeah, that's
man.
what shocked me. That's what shocked me. Seeing Zaya Cook's numbers and there were like 8 points. I'm like, what happened?
Like, and yeah, Katie Lou Samuelson, I get it, apparently most of the W this year was through baby fever, apparently, with Amy with Skylar Dickens. It's like, yeah, I know you really can't stop that, but it really does show. Even look, yeah. Okay, so the way I look at it this way is that look, if you have like one of your best role players out, 9 times out of 10, it may not mean much to a lot of teams, but down the line, if you can't get them back, I mean, like say in case of Skylar Diggins Smith in the Phoenix Mercury, their weakness is scoring. And that's what Skylar Diggins Smith brings to that Mercury was scoring. Same with Sophie Cunningham. You have two people that can, Sophie Cunningham can't do it on her own.
Yeah, exactly. And then I would also add to that their other weakness is the turnovers. It's bad.
And as a team, for those who have not checked out the last episode, they're averaging almost 17 turnovers a game as a team. That's a huge red flag in its own right. Like, you can't tell me that you can win. You can't win games like that.
You can't.
I mean,
they make it incredibly hard to win games, and it's like
themselves. Like, they shoot themselves in the foot 9 times out of 10.
They do because they're. Oh, let me pass the ball. Oh no, it's been pickpocketed. Turnover.
Let's see 5 minutes in the first quarter. There's like three automatic 3 turnovers easy. Like, that's what the Mercury.
Yeah, I watched the game. There was at least 4 and one. There was at least like 6 or 7 in one half.
Yeah, it seemed that, and good. Like, I mean, it really makes. Like, I know I'm kind of starting a little bit, but it makes me boggle my mind, like how a team just cannot do the simple things. Like, that's basketball 101. Don't look. Yes, turnovers are going to happen occasionally. Yeah, sure. One can make the argument about that. Yeah, which is true. But to do it consistently and you're average and having put up 15 or 16 a game, whatever the case may be, it's you're giving away games and it's making it harder on you, your team, your players, and for most importantly, your fans are probably fed up with the BS that's going on and that's down to the desert.
Exactly, man. It's really.
And I don't. Look, I don't hate the Mercury, but I want to see more. I'm not saying more, but I want to see what this team can be. But unfortunately, you have players on the wrong side, like say, Tarasi, she's on the wrong side of 40. BG's on the wrong side of 30. That kind of thing. And you don't have your best scorer, Skylar Diggins Smith. You have your role players like not really want to figuratively not coming and coming out the way you wanted to put it. Look, I'm not really. I mean, yes, I know the Mercury we can harp on all day, but you can see there's just a lot of problems going on with that franchise.
Yeah, there's so much that's wrong. A lot of holes in that roster. A lot of holes.
More holes than Swiss cheese.
Yeah, there's more holes. There's more holes than Swiss cheese. No, it's not. No, that's a great analogy. More holes than Swiss cheese.
Because you can see it each and every night that they put on the floor. So it's like, because like it gets to the point where it's so bad you can't even sit. Like, it's hard to watch an entire Mercury game without I was like, yeah, like I'm turning this off. Like 9 times
Now
out of 10.
here's my analogy. They had a foundation to their house. There's a house, there's a foundation.
Yep.
That foundation's now gone. That house
Yeah,
is
there's
crumbling.
nothing.
There's nothing there now.
And yet you go through, because originally when I told Tyra when me and Tyra talked about a coaching thing, I said, okay, maybe this could at least see some improvement. Nope. It looks like it's like taking one step forward, but they're taking like 15 steps back. They're going 15 steps backwards in the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, because usually 9 times out of 10, usually coaching changes usually help improve teams slightly. But in the case of the Mercury, that's far from the truth.
They're far down from where they are. Like they're in a pit of darkness right now.
And they're only like I mentioned before, they're the only team that has not cracked double-digit wins. Yep. It's bad enough you had teams like Indiana who, they've been I've been scrutinizing them a little bit, and obviously for one in particular, run your offense through Aaliyah Boston, who for me should be your rookie of the year. Because when I look at the rest of her rookie class, that's not looking good. Like I said, Haley Jones nowhere to be found. Diamond Miller, I'll give her give her some slack because she did deal with an injury early on, and it's probably and stuff like that. So I'll give her the benefit of the doubt on that one. But instead, like that entire rookie class that Aaliyah Boss is like, it's been very disappointing, for lack of a better term. I'm sorry to say. I like Haley Jones in college, but and I know at times it's the translation. I know it's a little bit harder because let's bro. It's competition level is like you got college at the bottom and the WNBA is up top in terms of competition play. And and Aaliyah Boston, she has some rookie problems. Not really, but there are games where it's like Indiana could be so much more than what they can be. That's why you were one of the worst teams last year to get that number 1 overall pick. You got Aaliyah Boston, but now we could potentially see the Fever go through another coaching change. Yes, they have 10 wins or something around there, give or take.
They have 11. They have 11 wins.
But it's gonna be an ugly. At least it's a slight improvement, but it's still an ugly season nonetheless for the Fever. But I would not be surprised if the Fever go through another coaching change because they need more. I'm the way I look at it. If you look at that roster, they need more than outside of Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell because those are your two predominantly your star players on that roster in terms for the Fever. I don't think. It's like, and sorry, I know you could probably agree with me. They need more than what they're outside of Kelsey Mitchell.
Yeah, they need more. They need more pieces on that team. I think they'll get it. They'll get it in the offseason for sure. I think.
And
we expected them to win. We expected them to win more than 5 games. They've done it.
They've done it.
So I'm okay with that. They just need to give Aaliyah some help. She can't do it by herself. And
I mean. And not just Aaliyah too. Give Kelsey Mitchell some better support, better supporting cast for crying out loud.
Yeah, Aaliyah, Boston, and Mitchell. Give them 2. You have 2 pieces. Build more.
I mean, currently,
get more pieces out there.
I mean, right now they're 1 and 2. Currently, right now, I think because right now the Fever are playing right now. Like I said, they're 1 and 2 in terms of scoring. Aaliyah Boston with 8, Kelsey Mitchell with 6, and. I mean, you also have Erica Wheeler, who is okay, but not the greatest. But that entire roster for Indiana, I'm not gonna say I don't have no faith in it, but God, I don't want to come out of it sounding harsh, but I don't think if they don't do nothing in the all season, it's gonna be another bumpy road. Because and the fact that this year, with this upcoming WNBA draft, you got another person in particular that's most teams are quote unquote tanking for is Caitlin Clark. She is she's coming out next year. It's like, because right now, as it constantly stands, if the teams that are not say quote unquote tanking, is probably Indiana, Seattle, and Phoenix. And yes, and I know one person can't really make a difference. In a certain sense, Aaliyah Boston, like I said, not a bad rookie season. I'll get, like I said, I'm not really going to harp on her. Yeah, she has. There's games that you could play the franchise for not, in game or playing the coaching, not let the run the offense through her, because I would say this team could at least have 12, 13 wins most if you ran the offense through, through Aaliyah Boston. But unfortunately, that's really. And like I said, it's potentially they may see another coaching change that are willing. They need a head coach that are willing to run the offense through either through Aaliyah, and also get Kelsey Mitchell involved as well. And let's be real, like I said, the supporting cast, it's oh boy, it's not the greatest.
It's a mess.
It is a mess.
Yeah,
because I think this, like, the future, I get it, is bright with Indiana, but you got to build towards it.
You got to. Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
you got to leave Boston for a reason, and yet, yes, it's have you bet a slight improvement? Sure, yeah, by at least 6 wins, at least. So you exceeded that type of expectation.
But that's the thing. You can build off of that, and I've said that countless times on this stream right now. You can build off of that. Yes, you won more than 5 games like we expected. Yes, you did your job. The problem is you got to give those 2 players some help. If you don't, you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, you're really setting yourself back.
So I'm not going to say coaching change, because who are they? Who is this coach coaching? Exactly.
I
Only
don't
2
know
players.
exactly.
2 players. It's always basically coaching. Or they're basically coaching. So it's not really a coaching issue. It's more of a roster makeup issue. They have to just keep building off of that. Keep building off of it. And then start winning games. If they get if they get Clayton Clark, fine. If they don't, get somebody, get the second best player.
Like, whoever you have to. It really, and you also start learning, like, and you have to redo your, not say completely overhaul your roster. Like I said, you have some decent supporting cast, but you need, you need to retool that.
You need a third star. You need a third star.
You really,
what they need. And the supporting cast is fine, but you can't win with only 2 players and a bunch of role players. You can't.
I mean, look, the Sparks are knowing it firsthand. Like, right now, the biggest star currently is Neko Gumake. Her sister, like, when you put, like, you've seen games where when they both have the Gumake sister on the floor, they're both dangerous not to stop. We've seen that in the past.
Yeah,
and it's like, it really does. I don't know, man. It's. I'm not saying I'm not worried, but if you want to have a brighter future and try at least compete, because let's be real, the Eastern Conference both conferences are very competitive. Because, I mean, in the Eastern Conference, I mean, look, the Indiana, I think they were Western Conference. I cannot, but I am not going to.
Indiana, I think is Western. I think they're Western. But anyway, let's just move on from that, and
I mean, so far, look, I know this is not news, but and obviously, I don't think no one has talked about this. So the WNBA, according from and State Farm Assist Tracker, has tallied 8,481 total assists this season. Now, yes, most of that could be must be accompanied to teams that are willing to share the rock. Las Vegas, New York, Connecticut, probably Dallas. I don't know, man. It's really nope. That's But right now, it's like, but yeah, it's like, and last, certainly not least, I want to go over some of the Week 12 power rankings. That the games were played from the 22nd to the 27th of August. So obviously they did mention the 10 longest playoff streaks in WNBA history. You have the Indiana Fever with 12 seasons from 05 to 2016. The Minnesota Lynx from 2011 to 2021. The Phoenix Mercury, like we mentioned before, that streak is now snapped from 2013 to 2022. Seattle Storm from 04 to 13. That's no longer the case anymore. The Sparks did it twice in 2012 and 2020 for 9 seasons. And then they did it in 8 seasons from 1999, I'm sorry, to 2006. In Connecticut, they still have an active streak from 2017 to up to this year. So it's a 7 seasons. Seattle Storm did it back in 2020. Actually, the actual surprise they did it twice. Seattle Storm from 16 to 22. The Detroit Shock. I think a lot of we're going a little bit old. Some older teams that are no longer existing in the league. The Detroit Shock from 03 to 09, and the Houston Comets from 97 to 2003, both at 7 seasons. But more importantly, between the 22nd and the 27th of August, the New York Liberty were ranked number 1. They went 2-0 last week. Yeah, beat the Sun 95-90 and completely obliterated the Minnesota Lynx 111 to 76. Yeesh. And obviously Aces. Right now, Aces were number 2, which is, I'm not surprised because Aces. The way we said it, very rare you ever see a team like that go on a bit of a losing skid. Or let me do another analogy. It's like kind of hitting the brick. Hang on. How's this analogy going to go? It's like basically you're driving to a it's like you're driving, but all of a sudden there's a brick wall. You just kind of crash right in the brick wall.
Yeah, it's like you hit that glass ceiling. You're just right there.
Yeah, it's Connecticut, they're still doing their thing. So it really just kind of shows like we said, losing skids stink. But you said this too, that season series with the Aces and Liberty, I would say it was one of the most hyped up, and at times it delivered a little bit, but not really. You had the Aces blowing them out in game 1. We had to be on the short end of it twice on blowouts. It's like, it's considered, and also
all I got to say is because we're gonna move on. The two teams had a good game in the last matchup. I will say that they had a good game. It was fairly close, but again, the Aces have to close out better because if they play them in the playoffs, they're in trouble. That's my.
I want to say not
if they
in
play
trouble.
them in the playoffs, they're in trouble.
Yeah, that's true. And also too, it was another thing too. Throughout the season too, it also made it. I don't think really no one talked about it. It's like, with the way how the Liberty are getting hot at the right time. One could have made the argument, that Liberty could potentially dethrone the Aces as the number 1 team in the WNBA because, like we said, it's a 2-game separation. It's not much. I think they were up 14.5, I think it was, and
they were up 14.5 for a while, and then they just closed in.
And like I said, it's that skid. That skid really hurt the Aces.
It was the skid after losing Candace Parker that hurt us. Because we lost that key piece, and now it's just right there. We were up here, now we're right there.
Because right now, the Liberty right now has the best record in the last 10 games. 9-1 in the last 10. 9-1 in the last 10 games. Aces 7-3. That should tell you. At the same time, but like I said, that's pretty much what I have in terms of because, like I said, there's hardly ever news except for right now the Mercury not having. There's right now their playoff streak getting snapped. Which is stopped at 10 seasons because let's be real, you have players that.
We got older players. We're not going to be around the bush about that a third time because we already beat around the bush twice. So,
But it's
yeah,
going to be
yeah.
interesting. The WNBA was also I'm actually going to keep an eye out. It's like how they're going to select, the new process they're selecting for the all defensive teams because I think in terms when you look at that, it's just like that they just I don't know exactly how it's done. I think they're voted or I don't know exactly how they do.
It's probably voting. It's probably voting. But who do you got winning
Well,
it?
if I do a first team, oh, that's gonna be rough. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
That's gonna be like another
Honestly, let's talk about that next week. Because
because I think it
it'll
might.
give us more thought to think about it. Let's do that
Yeah,
next week.
but yeah.
Um,
So next week, like I said, I know yes, I know there's hardly been any news, but because like I said, we're coming down to this stretch of the season where you have 2 to 3 games left, depending who you are, depending on what the schedule's looking like. Because for us, it's 2 games. And unfortunately, we had to play one of the most crappiest teams. I almost had another choice for it, but I'm not going to leave it in the Phoenix Mercury. But and yes, and look, I know we've kind of talked about these, but the league itself has. Yes, we know this league has been around since 1997, and yes, it took a while. The last few episodes we talked about, they had a jump in viewership, like the merch sales and the social media and stuff like that. Like they're
it's
making,
not like it took a while because back in the 2000s, it was red hot. Merch was up, everything was up, and then by like the 2010s, everything just went down, and
yeah,
now they're going back up again. So it's because they're promoting it better. Back in the day, in the 2000s, they were promoting the WNBA like it was water. All right,
because
like it was like this new thing, like because it was a fairly new thing. So it was like, oh man, it's a new thing. Let's check it out. And
yeah,
then
absolutely,
once they got it, they assumed that a lot of people watch it anyway, so we don't have to promote it that much. It's an issue because no one knows when games are. Now they're
yeah,
promoting it a lot better than they were, and that's why the viewership has gone up. The merch sales have gone up. Everything has
I mean,
gone
the
up.
subscriptions to League Pass has gone up as well. I mean, it's
You see during games, it is sold out. That's never happened in the 2010s.
nah, that really
Never.
doesn't.
And now we're in the 2020s. They're promoting it better, doing better with it, and they're selling out. They have sellout crowds more often than not.
Yeah, I mean, even as crappy as some of these teams are, I mean, they still sell out occasionally. But that being said, yeah, it's I will say the WB has taken tremendous steps forward. In terms, like I said, with better marketing, are offering. I mean, look, League Pass has actually been it's very nice to have if you want to catch out of market games. Social media has been kind of let's be real. Like social media has been emerging, because I know because you've got to think about it too. Like Tyler said, back then, they did it the old-fashioned way because there was no social media in the early to mid 2000s. That was still
Yeah, the only way you would see something on the internet is be at ESPN.com, WNBA.com, NBA.com, like the regular standard websites for sports. You don't see Instagram. You didn't have Instagram. You didn't have Facebook. You didn't have Twitter. You didn't have none of that stuff.
Yeah,
Until
absolutely.
you didn't have Facebook until what, 2007?
Something like that. Yeah.
And plus, the only social media that was around in the 2000s was MySpace. That was more personal. That was
Yep.
more like a personal thing. It wasn't more of like you could follow your favorite sports teams. You could follow this. You could follow that. You couldn't do that. It was more personal. But with Facebook and coming around, you could do that. You could follow your favorite, sports teams. You could follow your favorite, anything, actors, actresses, whatever. You could follow them. Twitter came around. You got more of an interactive base there.
Yeah.
Which I'm not calling it X, by the way. I will never call it that ever.
It's still Twitter with a fresh coat of paint.
It's
But that's
still Twitter to me.
But that's besides the point. But with that being said, though, before we get up out of here,
let's shout out some people because we've been ignoring comments here, and I'm sorry
who's been
shout out to Travel Buddy. Shout out to Travel Buddy. How you doing, brother?
Shout out to Zach.
My buddy Zach. How you doing? Kylie Caperton. How you doing?
What's going on, Daniel?
Daniel Berry. How you doing?
But yeah, so
Yeah.
before we get out of here, so obviously this show is sponsored by with SeatGeek. You know how it is. If anyone's going to concerts, sporting events, even WAB included, you need tickets. You need deals on tickets. Go to SeatGeek.com. Use promo code Philly Sports. Obviously, if you think of a traffic light, green for good deals, red's like hold, pump the brakes. What are you doing? And you got yellow says, you don't want to have a bang for your you want to don't overspend, but you want to at least have a decent budget. You got decent deals over there. Also,
Yep.
for those who are late night gamers, YouTubers, Twitch streamers, or just need an extra kick in the rear end, go to w.gg, use our promo code SportsWrestle10 to save 10% off your order, whether it's get the shaker itself, the tubs, the 4 small starter pack, whatever you call it, or whatever it is you want to get. Go over to w.gg, use SportsWrestle10 to save 10% off. And golf heads, if you guys need some good golf apparel, whether it's hats, shirts, whatever it is you guys need, go to shankagolf.com. Use our promo code SportsWrestle15. That is all capital letters to save 15% off your order from shankagolf.com. So shout out to Shank Golf for sponsoring this show, and also shout out to Just Gloves for also being another sponsor as well. If you guys need a baseball or softball equipment you need any discounts on that, and you don't want to overspend, Just Gloves and Just Bats are the best place to get your stuff. Go over there.
And if you want to get that 15% discount from us, please go to our link tree and use that link. Don't just go on Just Gloves blind and use that, because it won't work. Use our link in our link tree to do that.
Absolutely. And also, if you want to guys cop some merch, go to sportsandwrestle.myspreadshop.com and that's going to be linked in the description, or check out the link tree which is also linked down in the description as well, so you don't save you guys the hassle.
Yes. And another thing for the commission that we get from Just Gloves or our merch sale, that goes right to charity.
It's just absolutely, like I said, we do a lot of things different than anybody else. We don't want this keep your money. We want to give it to charity, give back to the people. We don't want, we're not looking for money. We're just looking to, brighten people's day with our content and brighten people's day with the charitable work. Absolutely.
That's all we care about.
But
we do not care about money. So.
Oh, I positively. Yes, applied to pull a Ned Flanders at the same time. So, but besides that,
you really referenced the Dead Show?
In a way, yes.
Oh, man.
But and look, I at least want to do something a little different. But that being said, you're gonna see me again for Friday Night SmackDown, which will
Rob. Since we pushed this to like 7:45, can we not do SmackDown tonight? Because I'm feeling a little bit, I don't feel like streaming.
You know what? I'm actually just push SmackDown to next week. How's that?
Yeah, please, because I don't feel like streaming again, because
fine.
we pushed this to like 7:45, and I wanted like. And the way I wanted to do it, and because we pushed this to 6, and we were going to do it at 5, and at 6, have like a 2-hour break before we, you're not giving us like a break here. That's what, and that's what I wanted, like a little break, so we don't get burnt out. I know the fans want to see us with SmackDown, but
absolutely,
we get burnt out. So I hope you guys understand.
Yeah, but that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 5 with Ballin with the Ladies. Like I said, this show does not stop. Even we're going straight to the off season. Like I said, and obviously you're going to see a lot more sports content anyways. Because like I said, I know you guys been loving our wrestling stuff throughout the entire summer, which is, we couldn't appreciate that any more than
you guys have been loving our wrestling stuff, and I know, and we know that we haven't been doing a lot of sports stuff this summer. We tried baseball, that wasn't hitting that well.
Yeah,
not like it used to. Yeah, not like it used to. Not like during the playoffs. That really blows up. But the WBA, we've done the WBA quite a bit this year. this summer. It's
could have done
been
more
doing.
had I not because of my work schedule. So
Yeah, he could have done more. Yeah, there could have been more that was done there, but
because by the time
I
I
don't
get
like.
done, games are already starting. So I mean,
Yeah, and plus
and
I can't do it by myself because I can't talk to myself. 'Cause I'm awkward, guys,
but
and and
but
and,
with
and when
with
I speak, hold on, but when I speak awkwardly, it hinders the content for you guys, and I don't want to make bad content for you guys. So
yeah, trust. But yeah, so obviously, so what's coming? What are you guys expecting going into next week? Obviously, the Edge Running podcast. You know how it is at 6 o'clock Monday. Also, as well, Monday night 8 o'clock. Other college football is already underway for some teams, but for ours, we got opening night. We're going down to North Carolina to take on the Duke Blue Devils opening night. Can we see
North
a bit of
Carolina.
an?
Oh yeah, Duke. We're playing away. I thought we were playing home.
No, we are open up on the road in North Carolina.
All right.
And obviously, with the NFL season coming up Sunday, September 10th, you'll meet C-Tire again for the Philadelphia Eagles going to New England, going to basically a
Yeah.
Super Bowl 52 rematch.
And honestly, we need to ask Bobby if he wants to be on there.
I think he might be streaming that game as well.
I think we should ask if we could join him.
Might as well.
Yeah, make it, but put it on and ask him if he can simulcast it on our channel too. Make it like an Eagles versus Patriots, friendly warfare.
Yeah,
be kind of cool.
I can see that.
But also, disclaimer. I know I said for the past week I promoted Collision for Saturday. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
because
so Saturday,
I totally forgot Payback was this Saturday. I totally forgot Payback was this Saturday. I don't know how.
Unless I had to say something about that.
He had to say something. He goes, buddy.
Did you forget?
He goes, it was after a stream when I promoted. He goes, buddy, do you know Payback is Saturday, right? I'm like, shoot. I didn't say shoot. Only I did not say shoot.
Shunny Hugger iced tea.
Yes, sugar honey iced tea was out of my mouth.
Yeah, but like we said, if you're a football fan, yes, hockey fans, I got y'all covered too. Well, mostly if you're a Flyers fan, that is. So I'm going to try to at least do most Flyers games as the best to my ability without butchering any names. Because, boy, that's one thing that me and Tyler have as well. But like I said, we'll be back at it again with the MLB postseason.
You heard me try to. You heard me when I read that name on my stat sheet. I'm like, nope. Immediately, I'm like, I'm just calling her. I just put an initial on her last name.
But yeah, so that being said, like I said, I know the wrestling's gonna be we're gonna take a bit of a step back in terms of the wrestling content because we're gonna try to be focused more on sports as well because it's like the way we.
I don't want to take a step back with the wrestling content. By the way, we can still do Raw and SmackDown.
Oh yeah.
And
I'm not saying we're not taking a full step back. We're just gonna.
We're not taking a step back at all. We're doing Raw, SmackDown, Collision, and Dynamite along pay-per-views. But we're just gonna ramp up the sports like Sunday football, and sometimes we might even take a break from Monday Night Raw and do a Monday Night Football game.
Which I think right now the first Monday Night Football coming up is the Bills and Jets game on September 11th.
And we're taking a break from Monday Night Raw, and we're watching a Monday Night Football game because again, for one, Raw's been very hit and freaking miss, to be honest, and I don't want to save my sanity. We want to save our sanity here, so we'll just watch a football game. We did it last year too. It was like, do you want to cover Raw? Because it doesn't. We look at the card for Raw. Like, do you want to cover Raw or do you want to do a football game? I look at the card for Raw. I'm like, yeah, Raw looks like it's gonna be bad. So let's do a football game.
Yeah. But with that being said, guys. But the wrestling contest is going to be the same, but it's going to be less volume than it is. But yeah, we'll still keep doing it. But that being said, ladies and gentlemen, Yeah,
And if our Clemson Tigers play on a Saturday, don't expect collision. Tell you that much.
Mm-hmm.
If Clemson plays on a Saturday and we both get to watch it, do not expect collision that day.
Because, yeah. So, well, with that being said, I hope everyone has a safe and healthy Labor Day. And peace out, sauerkraut.
Peace.